Welcome, you deep divers. In a world that often feels like it's just drowning in information, right? Where headlines scream and data streams from every corner.
It's overwhelming.
It really is. Finding what truly matters can feel like an impossible task. But that's exactly why we're here. Today, we're cutting through the noise, armed with a truly diverse stack of sources. I mean, everything from critical global health policy reports and dense Federal Reserve economic data.
Yeah, the real heavy stuff.
Exactly. All the way to the lightning-fast, often bewildering world of cryptocurrency news and the increasingly compelling field of impact investing.
Quite a mix.
It is. Our mission for you, our listener, is simple: to give you a genuine shortcut to being remarkably well-informed, to unearth those surprising facts, and maybe spark a few genuine aha moments along the way.
And that mission for you is absolutely critical. We're going to take what might, at first glance, appear to be completely disparate threads. Maybe a policy shift in Washington, a new data point from the World Bank, or a volatility spike in Bitcoin.
Things that seem totally unrelated.
Exactly. And we're going to try and weave them together.
Yeah.
Our goal is really to reveal the profound underlying trends, maybe illuminate some hidden risks that might otherwise go unnoticed, and highlight the emerging opportunities across these vital landscapes of global health, macroeconomics, and of course the incredibly dynamic digital asset space.
Right.
By integrating these multiple perspectives, you'll gain a far more robust, nuanced, and hopefully truly actionable understanding of the complex information that shapes our world.
Okay, let's unpack this. Today we're focusing on three core kind of intertwined themes that are fundamentally shaping our present and our future. First, we'll dive into the increasingly critical yet paradoxically vulnerable nature of data itself. It's everywhere, but can we trust it? Is it reliable?
That's the key question.
Second, we'll explore the profound ripple effects of shifting global policies, examining how decisions made in one capital can send, well, shockwaves across continents.
Absolutely. Very interconnected.
And finally, we'll venture into the dynamic, often unpredictable, but endlessly innovative world of digital assets and blockchain technology. So settle in. This is going to be an insightful and, dare I say, illuminating ride.
Looking forward to it.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around this fundamental paradox. Data is exploding everywhere around us, right? From our smartwatches to satellites, financial transactions, every click online.
It's a deluge.
It is. Yet somehow, reliable, truly actionable data is becoming this rare, precious, and sometimes even threatened commodity. It feels counterintuitive, doesn't it?
It really does.
Our deep dive into these sources clearly shows this unsettling paradox playing out across vastly different sectors, revealing a fragility that underpins so much of what we take for granted.
The real pivot point here is precisely that. We often just assume data is, well, it's just there, available, accurate.
Right, like electricity or water.
Kind of. But the reliability, the integrity, and the sheer availability of accurate, timely data underpin almost every single critical decision we make. Whether we're talking about life-saving public health interventions, those intricate multi-trillion-dollar national economic policy choices, or even sophisticated algorithmic financial investment.
Everything relies on it.
Fundamentally. Without good data, we're essentially trying to navigate a ship across a rapidly changing, storm-tossed ocean with, let's say, half the crew gone and the radar intermittently failing. The risks of hitting an iceberg, or worse, are dramatically amplified.
That's a powerful analogy. Okay, let's ground this. Let's start with a really concerning area that directly impacts our well-being: the U.S. public health infrastructure. Our sources reveal some truly alarming changes, especially when it comes to the people, the experts who make these systems work.
The human element.
Exactly. We're talking about significant personnel reductions across key federal agencies. For instance, the National Institutes of Health, the NIH, has reportedly seen an estimated 1,200 employees dismissed.
1,200. That's a huge number.
It is. And these aren't just numbers on a spreadsheet. Many are described as promising young investigators. The very future of biomedical research, people who were slated for larger roles, long-term scientific careers. This isn't merely a workforce reduction. It feels more like a brain drain, losing the talent that underpins future medical breakthroughs and our public health defenses.
That's absolutely critical to understand. The implications of these cuts are profound and, frankly, deeply concerning, because they are, as one source starkly puts it, eviscerating our next generation of public health experts and scientists.
Eviscerating. Wow.
It's not simply about fewer hands on deck. It's about the erosion of specialized, highly nuanced knowledge and invaluable institutional memory that often takes decades, literally decades, to build within these agencies.
Right. You can't just replace that overnight.
Absolutely not. When experienced epidemiologists, virologists, public health strategists are let go, you create critical blind spots in our collective ability to detect and respond effectively to emerging health threats.
Blind spots.
It's like dismantling the early warning system and sending the watchtower guards home just as a new storm is gathering on the horizon. We simply won't see the dangers until they're right upon us.
And we're not just talking hypotheticals here, are we? We're already seeing the consequences of these potential blind spots playing out in real time right now.
Unfortunately, yes.
Consider the current measles outbreak. We're seeing 124 cases reported in West Texas, with another 9 in neighboring New Mexico, contributing to over 130 total cases in just the first 2 months of 2025 alone.
Just 2 months.
Just 2 months. To put that in stark perspective, that single period already surpasses the total number of cases for 8 of the last 15 years.
That's a staggering increase.
It is. And tragically, we've also witnessed the first U.S. measles death in a decade, an unvaccinated child in West Texas. This isn't happening in a vacuum. It seems deeply connected to broader trends. Vaccination rates are declining, with 31 out of 49 reporting states now falling below that critical 93% to 95% MMR vaccine coverage threshold needed to maintain population immunity, herd immunity.
The community protection.
Exactly. The protection we once relied on is visibly eroding.
Yeah, you're exactly right. These outcomes aren't isolated incidents. When you connect the dots, look at the broader picture, these are inextricably linked to federal actions and deliberate shifts in public health policy.
How so?
Well, we've observed a marked federal silence on vaccination issues, which really stands in stark contrast to historical proactive campaigns encouraging vaccination. Furthermore, key advisory committees like the National Vaccine Advisory Committee and the Advisory Commission on Childhood Vaccination have seen their crucial meetings postponed or even canceled.
So the expert input is being sidelined.
It appears so. And perhaps most concerning, the credibility of the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practice, or ACIP, the very body that informs clinical immunization guidelines and helps administer the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program. Its credibility has been openly questioned at the highest levels of government.
That's worrying.
It is. An executive order restricting federal funding for COVID-19 vaccination mandates also sends a very clear, chilling message. The ripple effect even extends to critical, foundational processes. The Connecticut commissioner, for example, expressed significant worry about the cancellation of the VRBP meeting.
VRBP.
That's the federal committee responsible for selecting the flu vaccine strains each year. That directly impacts manufacturing timelines for the upcoming flu season, potentially leaving us vulnerable to widespread influenza. It's about the whole infrastructure.
Right. So what does this all mean for your daily life, beyond just scary headlines about outbreaks?
That's the crucial question.
It means these sweeping changes extend far beyond just infectious diseases like measles or flu. They impact fundamental public health services that we often take for granted but are absolutely essential.
Like what?
Think about something as basic but vital as safe drinking water. If we take our foot off the gas on regulations for contaminants or infectious agents, the foundational safety of our water supply, the very tap water you drink, could be compromised.
Something most people never worry about.
Exactly. The same goes for food safety. The sources mention an ongoing listeria outbreak across the country, which is a particular concern for pregnant women and babies. State health departments play an absolutely crucial role here, sometimes employing secret shoppers.
Secret shoppers for food safety.
Yeah. To perform quality control tests on meat, dairy, produce at the ground level, ensuring the food you buy is safe. When federal funding and expertise dwindle, the capacity for these essential everyday services can diminish.
It's like decommissioning the lighthouses and sending the Coast Guard home just as a storm is brewing.
That's a really good way to put it. We start to see the erosion of systems designed to protect us, making everyone more vulnerable, potentially. Okay, so from the very tangible and immediate impact on public health, let's now shift our gaze to another foundational pillar, the economic data that truly shapes our understanding of the world and the policies that govern it.
Right, the numbers that move markets and governments.
Exactly. Here, Institutions like the Federal Reserve and the World Bank don't just collect numbers. They construct the entire intellectual framework that underpins global policy and profoundly influences our collective economic future.
Absolutely. The Federal Reserve, for instance, maintains an incredibly extensive, granular, and sophisticated data collection system. It provides an unparalleled view of the U.S. economy.
What kind of data are we talking about?
Oh, everything. From the minutia of detailed bank assets and liabilities to business finance statistics, daily exchange rates, comprehensive financial accounts which track who owns what and who owes whom, industrial activity indicators, and precise money stock measures.
It sounds exhaustive.
It is. And this rich, multi-layered data set isn't just for academic interests, it's the bedrock that directly informs the Fed's critical dual mandate, ensuring both maximum sustainable employment and robust price stability within the U.S. economy.
That delicate balancing act.
It's a very delicate balancing act, isn't it? Trying to keep prices stable without stifling job growth. Those two goals can often pull in opposite directions. And it's this data that allows them to make informed decisions to navigate that tension.
And then on a truly global scale, there's the World Bank's International Comparison Program, the ICP.
Ah, yes, the ICP. A massive undertaking.
Monumental. The ICP 2011 data, for example, involved a staggering 199 economies spanning 8 regions and collaborating with 15 global partners. Its primary purpose is far-reaching and deeply insightful. It measures global poverty lines, calculates purchasing power parities or PPPs.
PPPs are crucial. Could you explain those quickly?
Sure. Think of it this way. What a dollar buys in New York might take $5 to buy in Zurich, or maybe only 50 cents in Bangkok. PPPs adjust for these price differences between countries to give a more accurate, sort of apples-to-apples picture of economic size and living standards.
Got it. A clearer comparison.
Exactly. And crucially, the ICP monitors progress towards the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. It's an immense ongoing effort to quantify, compare, and understand the global economic landscape in a truly meaningful way.
And the insights derived from this ICP data are incredibly valuable. They offer a granular, almost real-time view of global economic shifts that can really reshape our understanding of geopolitical power.
Like what, for instance?
For instance, PPP-adjusted GDP tracking revealed the rapid rise of China and India as global economic powers. A World Bank blog highlighted this back in October 2019. Adjusted for local purchasing power, their economies were shown growing far faster and larger than simple exchange rate conversions would suggest.
So it corrects for currency fluctuations.
In a way, yes, it corrects for price level differences. In fact, another World Bank blog from September 2018 noted that India had already surpassed France in economic size a quarter-century prior, an often overlooked historical milestone revealed by this PPP data.
25 years ago.
Wow. More recently, the ICP played a pivotal role in establishing a baseline for the global economy in 2019, which was then used to precisely measure the devastating impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, as reported in a July 2020 World Bank blog.
So it's constantly being used.
Its utility is continuous. It serves as an ongoing mechanism for monitoring progress towards the Sustainable Development Goals, from poverty reduction to education access, a point reiterated in a January 2019 blog. This data is absolutely fundamental, not just for academics, but for policymakers to understand where global development truly stands and where critical resources need to be directed.
Foundational stuff. And speaking of data, there's an entirely new frontier emerging, one that's fundamentally rewriting the rules of financial transparency and behavioral economics. Here's where it gets really interesting.
Oh, the crypto world.
Exactly. We're now shifting gears to the dynamic, often exhilarating world of digital assets, where entirely new data sources are emerging thanks to blockchain technology itself. We're talking about platforms like Sentiment, CryptoQuant, and Glassnode.
Names becoming very familiar in the space.
Right. They are revolutionizing how we understand market behavior in ways traditional finance could only dream of.
Precisely. For those familiar with traditional finance, think of on-chain data as, well, imagine not just having access to every trade of the NYSE, but also knowing the exact identity, or at least the pseudonymized address and portfolio movements of every single participant, transparently and in real time.
That sounds incredibly powerful.
It is. It's information that is directly and immutably recorded on a blockchain. This provides an unprecedented level of transparency into every single transaction, every address holding assets, and consequently, the precise behavior of market participants.
How does that compare to traditional data?
It stands in stark contrast. Traditional financial data often relies on intermediaries and can be opaque or delayed. On-chain data offers unique, granular insights that simply weren't available before, essentially creating a public ledger of economic activity that anyone can scrutinize.
And some of these platforms are really pioneering this field. Santiment, for example, they've been at the forefront, right? Developing crypto development data analytics since 2017, sentiment metrics since 2014, even gathering historical data all the way back to 2009.
They have a deep data set.
Incredibly deep. Their platform is incredibly robust, offering over 1,100 metrics for more than 2,500 assets across 12 different blockchains. They analyze everything from social trends, what people are actually talking about on social media, which can often precede price movements.
The social sentiment piece is huge.
Huge. To investor profit and loss, the accumulation patterns of large holders, these whales, and even the popularity metrics of non-fungible tokens, NFTs. It's not just about prices. It's a comprehensive look at the human psychology and economic activity embedded within the digital asset ecosystem.
Trying to get that level of granular, real-time behavioral data in traditional markets is virtually impossible.
Almost unthinkable.
Then you have CryptoQuant. They take a slightly different but equally powerful angle by offering unified on-chain and off-chain data, so bringing in data from exchanges too.
Okay, so combining both worlds.
Right. They provide pre-built charts and APIs alongside what they call no-code analytics for easy customization, allowing users to build complex queries without being, a coding expert.
Making it more accessible.
Exactly. Their particular focus is on delivering actionable insights, tailored specifically for institutional and professional investors. And critically, their data is delivered at incredibly granular block-level resolution with extremely low latency.
Speed matters there.
Absolutely. This is about providing real-time, high-fidelity intelligence to make swift, precise, and informed trading and investment decisions. For a professional trader, milliseconds and the ability to see precisely what's happening the moment a block is confirmed can mean the difference between massive profit and significant loss.
And then there's Glassnode.
Glassnode. They offer unparalleled insights into digital assets. They've developed proprietary entity adjustment and clustering algorithms to process the vast, often pseudonymous amounts of on-chain data.
What does that mean, entity adjustment?
It means simply looking at wallet addresses isn't enough. Many entities control multiple addresses. Their algorithms try to discern who or what entity controls multiple addresses, clustering them together to create a more accurate picture of holdings and capital flows. It's sophisticated stuff.
So cleaning up the raw data.
Precisely.
Yeah.
What's more, they ingeniously integrate this cleaned up on-chain data with off-chain spot and derivatives market data through robust APIs. They also provide bespoke research and collaborate with industry leaders you'd recognize: Coinbase, Avenir, Gemini, even the CME Group.
Big names.
Big names. This isn't just raw data. It's sophisticated analysis, making sense of a massive, complex, and often intentionally obscure information flow to provide clarity to serious investors.
Okay. If we connect this to the bigger picture, what does this all mean?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, these new data sources are creating a fundamental, almost revolutionary shift in how financial markets can be analyzed. We're moving beyond traditional indicators like volume and price charts to something far more profound, directly observing the heartbeat of the market itself.
Seeing the actual behavior.
Exactly. They allow for deep behavioral analytics, enabling a precise understanding of capital flows, investor sentiment, market structure in ways that were previously unimaginable in any financial market. This transparency and depth of insight are opening up entirely new avenues for both academic research into market dynamics and the development of incredibly sophisticated investment strategies, truly transforming the landscape of financial analysis for the 21st century.
A whole new toolkit.
Absolutely.
Now that we've established just how critical and sometimes vulnerable data can be and how it's revolutionizing even new frontiers like crypto, let's broaden our discussion. Let's talk about the profound impact of policy decisions.
Right, the actions taken by governments and institutions.
Exactly. We're talking about how shifts in one area, whether it's health, trade, or monetary policy, can create these powerful, often unexpected ripple effects across the entire globe, touching pretty much every aspect of our lives.
That's a crucial point, and it's essential to reiterate the deep interconnectedness of our world. Very few policies exist in a vacuum anymore, especially in today's highly globalized and intertwined economic and social landscape.
Everything's connected.
It really is. A decision made in one capital, whether it's Washington, London, or Beijing, can send reverberations that touch lives and economies thousands of miles away, often in ways that weren't immediately obvious to the policymakers themselves. Understanding these global currents is absolutely key to navigating our complex world.
Let's circle back to public health for a moment, but this time focusing on the very real and significant international repercussions of U.S. policy shifts.
The global impact, yes.
The sources detail the U.S. withdrawal from the World Health Organization, the WHO. This stemmed from a renewed withdrawal notice from 2020. While technically the process can take a year, the immediate intent seemed clear.
Right, signaling a major shift.
And this wasn't just a bureaucratic move. It also meant the abrupt cessation of U.S. officials' participation in vital global surveillance networks, essentially pulling our eyes and ears out of a system designed to spot global health threats early.
The consequences of this withdrawal are substantial and far-reaching, particularly given the U.S. historical role. The U.S. has consistently been the largest donor to the WHO, contributing roughly 16% of its overall budget through a mix of assessed and voluntary contributions.
16% is a big chunk.
It's huge. When such a significant funding source is suddenly removed or threatened to be removed, the impact is immediate and drastic. The WHO, for example, has already had to stop international travel for most of its staff.
Right.
Yes, leading to a profound diminution of the international information available to the organization and a significantly reduced global reach for its programs. This means less data sharing on emerging pathogens, fewer coordinated responses, and ultimately a less prepared global community.
And are other countries following suit?
We're observing a concerning trend of emulation among some politically aligned governments. Argentina has already withdrawn from the WHO, and both Hungary and Russia are reportedly considering similar actions. This could severely fragment global health efforts at a time when collective action and data sharing are more critical than ever, especially after recent pandemics.
Fragmenting the response just when we need unity.
Precisely.
And it's not just the U.S. withdrawing support, is it? We're seeing reactions and shifts from other major global health funders as well, creating a really challenging financial landscape for international health initiatives.
That's right. It compounds the problem.
The UK, for instance, announced a significant decrease in its foreign aid budget, planning to cut it from 0.5% down to 0.3% of GDP by 2027. They explicitly stated this capital would be redirected to invest more in its military.
A clear shift in priorities.
Absolutely. And Germany, which has historically been a strong supporter of multilateralism and a key financial backer of the WHO, is currently facing significant economic pressures domestically. This raises concerns about potential pullbacks in its own contributions to global health initiatives.
It creates a potential domino effect.
Yeah, where one major player's withdrawal or reduction can pressure others to reassess their commitments, potentially leaving critical gaps in funding and support.
This creates a significant void, and indeed China is emerging to play a more prominent, albeit strategically focused, role.
How so? Is China filling the gap?
Well, yes and no. While China has offered to pay for some programs in strategic countries, particularly in regions like Southeast Asia and Latin America, where it seeks to expand its geopolitical and economic influence, its focus tends to be heavily on infrastructure development.
Building roads and ports.
Exactly. Rather than core global health security, infectious disease surveillance, or mother-child health programs, it's not just about spending money. It's about the strings attached and the strategic objectives. This leaves critical gaps in fundamental health services, especially in preventing and responding to outbreaks.
And what about regions that really rely on this aid?
This context is especially dire in sub-Saharan Africa. Governments there, on average, spend only about $92 per person on health. That's less than one-fifth of the next lowest region globally. Their inherent capacity to absorb cuts in U.S.-funded programs or fill these emerging voids is severely limited, exacerbating health vulnerabilities across the entire continent. We're looking at a potential systemic weakening of global health defenses.
This raises an important question. What does all this mean for the future of crucial global health initiatives, like, for instance, polio eradication programs? These are programs that have been on the brink of success for decades, largely thanks to international cooperation.
A major concern.
Historically, U.S. voluntary contributions to the WHO, alongside significant funding from the UK and, of course, the Gates Foundation, have been the bedrock of these efforts.
Right, a three-legged stool, in a way.
Exactly. With the U.S. potentially pulling back, it strongly suggests that the Gates Foundation's already substantial role may now need to expand even more significantly, and other nations may need to step up. If we are to prevent decades of arduous progress against this devastating disease from unraveling.
It really begs the question, who truly owns the responsibility for global health, when major players retreat? It's a fundamental question for the international community.
It is indeed. Hashtag tag, tag, tag 2.2 trade wars, tariffs, and economic uncertainty. Okay, shifting gears from the critical, interconnected realm of global health, let's now look at the economic sphere. Specifically, the far-reaching impact of trade policies and tariffs, particularly those enacted under the Trump administration.
IS tariffs, a recurring theme.
These decisions don't just affect import prices or, how much you pay for a new car. They fundamentally reshape global supply chains, influence inflation, and often strain international relations, sometimes for years to come.
Indeed. And it's a complex legal and economic landscape, fraught with ongoing uncertainty. Federal courts have actually ruled most of Trump's tariffs illegal.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that.
Yes, according to the Council on Foreign Relations back in August 2025. Yet CNBC noted in September 2025 that the case for them might not be closed. This indicates ongoing legal challenges, potential appeals, and the possibility of a future administration reinstating similar measures.
So uncertainty remains.
Exactly. This state of flux itself creates a palpable instability for businesses, supply chain planners, and financial markets, making long-term investment decisions incredibly difficult. The cost of uncertainty alone is significant.
And these Section 232 tariffs, what were they targeting specifically?
Well, as detailed by the Council on Foreign Relations in July 2025, they were framed as measures to protect U.S. national security. But the breadth of products they covered was surprisingly diverse, extending from steel and aluminum to cars and even copper.
A wide net.
A very wide net. And FX Street highlighted 5 reasons for a likely escalation of Trump's trade war, including factors like buoyant markets and a resilient U.S. economy, suggesting that the conditions for more trade friction are ripe and perhaps even politically appealing.
And what's the estimated economic impact?
The estimated impact of these tensions is already significant. They are already set to cut global output by an estimated 0.7 percentage points in the medium term.
0.7%. How significant is that globally?
To put that in perspective, 0.7 percentage points of global output is a substantial drag on worldwide economic growth. It translates to billions, if not trillions, in lost economic activity, slower job creation, and potentially higher prices for consumers around the globe. It's a significant headwind for the entire global economy.
Wow. And how do markets react to this kind of thing?
Well, we can see a clear, almost textbook connection between these trade policies and financial market behavior. The sources indicate that tariffs, uncertainty, and renewed geopolitical tensions are acting as a tailwind for the safe haven bullion.
Bullion? You mean gold?
Exactly, gold. This is driving gold prices to consolidate near record highs, recently seen above $3,500 according to FX Street in September 2025.
$3,500 an ounce.
That's what the source reported. This is a classic example of investors reacting to heightened economic and political instability by seeking out assets perceived as inherently safer and more stable in times of turmoil.
A flight to safety.
Precisely. When the future of global trade is questioned and international relations become strained, capital often flows into traditional stores of value like gold. It illustrates a clear flight to quality in uncertain times, a signal that market participants are bracing for continued turbulence. Hashtag tag 2.3 monetary policy and market reactions.
Now let's turn to the Federal Reserve's critical role in steering the U.S. economy, which in turn has profound ripple effects across global financial markets.
The Fed's every move is watched closely.
Absolutely. Their monetary policy decisions send powerful signals that influence everything from interest rates to investment decisions worldwide, impacting, your mortgage rates, your savings, the value of your portfolio.
The recent Federal Open Market Committee, or FOMC, meeting on July 29-30, 2025, provided clear insights into their current stance. It highlights a careful, measured approach.
What did they decide?
The committee decided to maintain the target range for the federal funds rate at 4.14 to 4.12%.
Holding steady.
Holding steady. This reaffirms their unwavering commitment to their crucial dual mandate of achieving both maximum employment and a stable 2% inflation target over the long run.
The balancing act again.
Exactly. Furthermore, they stated their intention to continue reducing their holdings of Treasury securities, agency debt, and mortgage-backed securities as part of their balance sheet normalization efforts.
So quantitative tightening continues.
Essentially, yes. Gradually pulling liquidity out of the financial system, a move that can influence long-term interest rates and credit availability. These are all signals of a deliberate, data-dependent approach to managing the economy, attempting to thread the needle between inflation control and economic growth.
What's particularly interesting, though, is the internal dissent within the FOMC. I saw that in the notes.
Ah, yes, the differing votes. That is
Well, the
significant.
majority of members voted to maintain the current rate. Michelle W. Bowman and Christopher J. Waller expressed a preference to actually lower the target range by a quarter percentage point.
Right, a dissent in favor of cutting rates.
This isn't just a minor disagreement, is it? It signals genuinely differing views on the economic outlook or the most appropriate policy response moving forward.
Absolutely. It highlights the inherent tension within the Fed itself. Are some members more concerned about a potential economic slowdown and advocating for a preemptive cut, while others remain vigilant against lingering inflationary pressures?
A hawk versus dove situation.
You could frame it that way. This division creates a degree of uncertainty about the future path of monetary policy, and markets are certainly watching these nuanced signals very, very closely.
And how are markets interpreting these signals? It seems complicated.
Markets, of course, are hypersensitive to these signals, interpreting them in various, often contradictory ways. It's fascinating to watch.
For example,
On one hand, some predictions are pointing towards a potential red September, with Bitcoin risking a slide perhaps towards $100 K after experiencing a 6% monthly drop,
ouch.
as reported by CoinDesk in early September 2025. This reflects a bearish sentiment, possibly tied to broader economic concerns, where the Fed's cautious stance might be interpreted as a sign of underlying economic weakness, potentially leading to a risk-off environment for volatile assets.
Okay, so fear driving down risk assets.
Potentially. However, on the other hand, there are counterarguments. Some believe that gold's rally could help Bitcoin too, suggesting a potential correlation between certain safe haven assets in times of instability, or perhaps that both benefit from concerns about fiat currency debasement.
So Bitcoin is digital gold, that argument.
That narrative persists, yes. Opinions truly diverge. Some traders, like Omkar Godbol writing for CoinDesk Opinion, expressed nervousness about Fed rate cut talk.
Nervous about cuts. Why?
Well, that nervousness could stem from fears that rate cuts signal an impending economic downturn, or perhaps that the Fed is falling behind the curve on inflation and might have to reverse course later. It illustrates the complex and often contradictory ways different asset classes and market participants react to monetary policy expectations and the prevailing geopolitical and economic uncertainties.
It really is a psychological battleground.
It truly is a battleground of market perception where every word from the Fed is dissected for clues about the future.
Okay, from the measured world of central banks and global policy, we're now shifting gears dramatically. We're heading into the fast-paced, often volatile, and yeah, truly wild world of cryptocurrency and blockchain.
Buckle up.
Exactly. Here, innovation isn't just rapid, it's practically happening at warp speed, constantly clashing with the inherent need for regulation and, crucially, investor safety. It's an arena where fortunes can be made and lost overnight, and the rules are definitely still being written.
This market certainly demands a different kind of analytical lens, doesn't it? One that accounts for its unique characteristics.
How so?
It's a space where new technologies are creating both immense opportunities like truly global, permissionless financial systems and significant, often novel, risks, such as smart contract exploits or sudden regulatory crackdowns.
Things you don't see in traditional finance.
Not usually to this extent or speed. Understanding this space requires acknowledging its unique characteristics: decentralization, global accessibility 247, and the rapid, often chaotic evolution of financial instruments. It's a constant tug-of-war between innovation and the need for stability and trust.
All right, let's get a current snapshot of key cryptocurrency market movements pulled directly from our sources. Bitcoin, the undisputed king, has been hovering around the $110,000 to $111,000 mark.
Holding that level.
Seems to be. Ethereum, not far behind as the platform for much of decentralized finance, or DeFi, is trading between $4,300 and $4,400.
Also a key level for ETH.
Right. XRP has been consolidating below $3, indicating maybe a period of relative stability after some volatility. And Dogecoin, the famous meme coin,
Can't forget Doge.
holds steady around $0.21. These are the current price points that are driving a lot of the market conversations and investor sentiment right now.
What's fascinating here is the intricate interplay between that hard, quantifiable on-chain data we talked about earlier and the more subjective yet incredibly powerful market sentiment.
How are those playing out?
Well, for example, CoinDesk reported in September 2025 that Bitcoin's realized capitalization, which, again, essentially represents the value of all coins at the price they last moved on-chain, has reached a record high.
Even with the price dipping.
Exactly. Even as its spot price dips. This suggests that a significant portion of the market is holding on to their Bitcoin with long-term conviction, largely unperturbed by short-term price fluctuations. They're not panic selling.
HO dealing, as they say.
Precisely. Furthermore, the network hash rate, that measure of the total computational power securing the Bitcoin blockchain, returned to all-time highs in August, according to JP Morgan via CoinDesk. This points to underlying network strength and security.
So fundamentals look strong, potentially.
According to those metrics, yes. Even amidst declining trading volume and a rising bearish market sentiment noted by FX Street. This creates an interesting debate, with some questioning whether Bitcoin no longer plays gold's game, as explored by Cointelegraph.
The decoupling idea.
Right, highlighting a potential decoupling from traditional safe haven correlations and suggesting Bitcoin's value proposition might be evolving. Meanwhile, you have analysts like Plancy offering a more long-term perspective, predicting a boring but steady path to $1 million for Bitcoin.
Boring to $1 million. How does that work?
The boring part implies maybe less dramatic, volatile spikes like we saw in the early days, but a more consistent, slow accumulation and adoption, signaling perhaps a maturation of the asset class. Steady upward trend rather than fireworks.
Interesting take. And we simply can't talk about crypto without acknowledging the outsized influence of major players, the whales.
Their moves can make waves. Big ones.
We're seeing reports of these whales rotating their capital, specifically moving into Ethereum as Bitcoin clings to its support levels, according to Cointelegraph.
What might that signal?
Well, it could signal a belief in Ethereum's evolving ecosystem, maybe its transition with proof of stake, or its role in DeFi and NFTs becoming more valuable relative to Bitcoin.
A bet on the platform itself.
Could be. Similarly, XRP whales have been accumulating a significant amount, nearly $960 million worth of tokens, as reported by CoinDesk. That indicates strong conviction in that asset despite its ongoing regulatory challenges.
Big accumulation there.
And then there's the well-known strategy of Michael Saylor's company, MicroStrategy. Just last week, they added another 4,408 Bitcoin for $450 million. That brings its total stack to an astounding 636,505 coins, valued at an estimated $70 billion.
$70 billion in Bitcoin on one company's balance sheet. Remarkable.
It really is. This isn't just an investment, it's a core corporate treasury strategy. Other major institutional players include BitMine Immersion, which boasts a significant Ether holding of $8.1 billion and explicitly aims to control 5% of Ether's total supply.
5%, that's ambitious.
Very. And Ether Machine, which made a substantial $654 million ETH investment. These are not small players making speculative bets. These seem to be strategic, long-term plays that dramatically impact market liquidity and sentiment.
These massive corporate and individual investments, like Saylor's, fuel an ongoing and critical debate. Are these crypto treasury bets or a bubble?
Right, the million-dollar question, or $1 billion in this case.
Exactly. This question, highlighted by Cointelegraph in discussions between prominent figures like Peter Thiel and Michael Saylor, underscores the fundamentally speculative nature and differing philosophies prevalent in this nascent market.
What are the different philosophies?
Well, Saylor, for instance, views Bitcoin as the ultimate inflation hedge and a superior store of value, essentially digital gold, that corporations should hold on their balance sheets for the long term. Thiel, on the other hand, while generally a crypto advocate, has voiced concerns about speculative excesses in parts of the market.
So believer versus maybe cautious skeptic.
Something like that. This isn't just an academic discussion. It's a stark reminder that while some see long-term value, strategic accumulation, and a fundamental shift in finance, others perceive significant, potentially unsustainable risk, warning of a speculative bubble that could burst. This philosophical divide is a core characteristic of the digital asset landscape right now and influences everything from institutional adoption to regulatory approaches.
Fascinating tension. Beyond the major cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, one of the most significant and intriguing developments our sources highlight is this innovative concept of tokenized assets.
Tokenization, a huge potential area.
This is really where traditional finance starts to converge with blockchain technology in new and powerful ways, potentially blurring the lines between old and new money systems entirely. It's genuinely exciting.
So, to define tokenized stocks, they are essentially digital representations of traditional financial instruments, like shares in Apple or Tesla, but recorded and managed on distributed ledgers, on blockchains.
What's the advantage of that?
Well, it means they can potentially be traded 247, settle almost instantly instead of taking days, and potentially fractionalized into much smaller units than traditional shares, making high-priced stocks accessible to more people.
Okay, I see the appeal.
A prime example is Kraken's X-Stocks expansion on the Ethereum mainnet. This initiative, highlighted by Cointelegraph in September 2025, integrates tokenized stocks of companies like NVIDIA and Tesla directly into the vast and growing decentralized finance, or DeFi, ecosystem.
So you could use tokenized Tesla stock as collateral in DeFi.
Potentially, yes. This move aims to bring the liquidity, the transparency, and the programmable benefits of blockchain to assets traditionally held in conventional brokerage accounts, opening up entirely new trading strategies and investment possibilities for a global audience.
And the examples of this tokenization trend don't stop there, do they?
Not at all. We're seeing tokenized gold making its way into U.S. IRAs through the $1.6 billion Smart Gold Shintai rollout.
Gold in an IRA, but as a token.
Exactly. This means investors can now hold vaulted physical gold as a digital asset within their retirement accounts, combining the perceived stability of gold with the efficiency and potential divisibility of blockchain.
That's interesting. What else?
Even more intriguingly, there's a proof of concept mentioned from the U.S. government that involves pushing economic data onto blockchains.
Government data on a blockchain.
As CoinDesk reported in September 2025, imagine the implications for transparency and data integrity if official government statistics were immutable and verifiable on a public ledger.
That could be revolutionary for trust.
It could. And the launch of the Trusted Smart Chain, or TSC, for real-world assets, or RWA, signifies a broader trend of bringing tangible assets, anything from real estate to art to commodities, into the digital realm, expanding the scope of what can be traded and managed on a blockchain. This is about making illiquid assets liquid and complex ownership verifiable and easily transferable.
Huge potential, but there's always a but, isn't there?
This raises an important question. While the innovation is undeniably exciting and promises to unlock immense value and efficiency, we absolutely must consider the crucial aspect of investor protection.
What are the risks here?
Natasha Kazanev, the executive director of the European Securities and Markets Authority, ESMA, issued a pointed warning. She noted that tokenized stocks could lead to investor misunderstanding and stressed the urgent need for robust safeguards, as reported by Decrypt in September 2025.
What kind of misunderstandings?
Perhaps confusion over what exactly you own, the underlying asset or just a representation. What are the specific legal rights associated with the tokenized share versus a traditional one? Who is the custodian? What happens if the platform goes bankrupt? Ensuring clear disclosure, appropriate licensing, and effective oversight is a constant tightrope walk regulators must perform between fostering progress and ensuring prudence.
A very tricky balance. This rapid innovation in digital assets, as you can imagine, is met with an equally rapid, though often fragmented, evolution in regulatory responses across the globe. It's a constant tension, almost a dance, between pushing technological boundaries and trying to establish order, security, and fairness in a truly global, decentralized market.
And you see a clear contrast in global approaches here, almost a philosophical divergence, you might say.
How so?
Singapore, for instance, is often described in sources as innovating. They seem to be actively deploying live AI systems in hospitals and refining its crypto licensing frameworks through targeted enforcement and clear guidelines. They're creating sandboxes, clear pathways for legitimate businesses.
Taking a proactive approach.
It seems so. Meanwhile, the West, particularly Europe and the U.S., is perceived as still primarily regulating crypto and AI, according to a Cointelegraph opinion piece in September 2025. This suggests maybe different stages of maturity and philosophy in how these powerful new technologies are being integrated into national frameworks. One is perhaps embracing and guiding. The other is maybe more reactive, attempting to fit square pegs into existing round regulatory holes.
And the U.S. regulatory environment specifically, it sounds complicated.
It remains quite complex and, frankly, often confusing for participants. Our sources describe an unsettled U.S. crypto tax scene, as CoinDesk noted in September 2025. Clarity is desperately needed for everything from DeFi yield farming to NFT capital gains, leaving investors and businesses often in limbo.
Tax uncertainty is a killer for adoption.
It really is. Congress is reportedly prioritizing market structure legislation, attempting to finally define which agency regulates which digital asset is a security under the SEC or commodity under the CFTC. That's a fundamental hurdle that needs clearing.
The SEC versus CFTC turf war.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Interestingly, the CFTC, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, has indicated that crypto firms that previously left the U.S. due to regulatory uncertainty can re-enter as foreign boards of trade. That signals a potential softening, or at least a practical pathway for re-engagement for some offshore exchanges.
A potential opening.
Could be. And of course, there's always a political dimension. California Governor Gavin Newsom, jokingly teasing a Trump corruption coin, as reported by Decrypt, highlights the growing and sometimes, well, humorous intersection of crypto and mainstream politics.
Politics and crypto getting tangled.
This political intersection, as you noted, is becoming quite commercialized within the crypto space, blurring the lines between political campaigns and digital assets in some interesting ways.
Like what?
Take the Trump Media and Crypto.com $6.4 billion CRO Treasury firm partnership. This makes the Kronos token, CRO, central to Truth Social's reward system, according to CoinDesk, in August 2025, essentially integrating a specific cryptocurrency into a political social media platform's ecosystem.
Wow, that's direct integration.
It is. Similarly, the Trump family's World Liberty, or WLFI, stake reportedly surged to $5 billion after a token unlock, as reported by Cointelegraph in September 2025. These instances illustrate how political figures and their associated ventures are increasingly leveraging digital assets, not just for fundraising or engagement, but as direct financial instruments.
It raises fascinating questions about the future of political finance and the influence of crypto in public discourse, doesn't it?
It certainly does. New territory.
But with all this innovation, political entanglement, and market dynamism, we crucially need to emphasize the persistent, insidious risks of scams and exploits that continue to plague the digital asset space.
Yes, the dark side is always present.
This isn't just the Wild West, it's sometimes the truly lawless frontier. The WLFI token itself, for example, the one associated with the Trump family, experienced a significant 30% dip shortly after launch and was reportedly targeted by hackers using a classic EIP 7702 exploit, according to Cointelegraph.
The EIP 7702 exploit. Sounds technical.
It is. For our listeners, it's basically a type of vulnerability that can allow attackers to gain unauthorized access to or control over smart contracts, potentially draining funds. It highlights the technical risks involved.
And the old school scams are still rampant too.
Absolutely. Investor.gov provides timeless red flags of fraud that remain as relevant today in crypto as they ever were in traditional markets. Promises of high, guaranteed returns with little or no risk.
Big red flag.
Immense pressure to act now, that fear of missing out, FOMO.
They prey on psychology.
Fake testimonials from supposed experts, and suspicious payment methods like wire transfers or gift cards. We're still seeing specific, costly incidents like a Venus Protocol user losing $13.5 million to a sophisticated phishing attack.
$13 million. Ouch.
Where malicious links trick users into revealing their private keys. And the continued rise of the Try My Game Discord scam, where users are lured into downloading malware disguised as games, remains a significant threat.
These are stark, constant reminders that caution, skepticism, and thorough due diligence remain absolutely paramount in this rapidly evolving and often dangerous frontier. You have to protect yourself.
Vigilance is key. Absolutely. Okay, so we've navigated the intricate landscapes of data vulnerability, global policy shifts, and the often chaotic, thrilling, and sometimes dangerous world of digital assets. Now, let's pivot. Let's look at a fundamentally different yet increasingly relevant aspect of the financial world: impact investing.
A shift in perspective, definitely.
This approach goes beyond purely financial returns, seeking a broader, more holistic definition of value that tries to align capital with purpose.
This is where we bring in the Global Impact Investing Network, or GII. They provide the leading definition of impact investing as, essentially, the practice of harnessing capital to achieve positive social and environmental impact alongside a financial gain.
So it's not charity.
Exactly. It's not about philanthropy, though related. It's about investing in companies, organizations, and funds with the explicit intention to generate measurable, beneficial social and environmental impact in addition to a financial return.
The double bottom line, or even triple.
Precisely. It's a growing movement that's gaining significant influence as more investors, both institutional and individual, seek to align their values with their portfolios, demanding more from their capital than just profit.
And this isn't just a niche kind of feel-good movement anymore, is it? It seems to be gaining real scale.
It's becoming a formidable force in global finance. The GION's 2024 report estimates a substantial market size of $1.571 trillion USD managed in impact investing assets.
1.5 trillion.
Trillion with a T, overseen by over 3,907 organizations. That's a powerful and growing force in global finance, demonstrating that purpose-driven investing is moving squarely into the mainstream. It's no longer a side project. It's a significant and viable allocation of capital for many.
And what role does GIN play in this growing field?
GIN plays a crucial role in advancing and standardizing the practice. They help bring rigor and measurability to a field that could otherwise be prone to impact washing or greenwashing, making claims without substance.
Setting the standards.
Exactly. They develop practical frameworks, such as their Climate Solutions Investing Framework, to guide investors on how to effectively allocate capital towards climate change mitigation and adaptation. They also conduct vital market analysis to track trends and growth, and importantly, they share compelling case studies.
Like the one mentioned.
Yes, like Empowering Women Farmers, which highlights D-Tech coffee in Vietnam. This case study showcases precisely how impact capital can drive tangible, positive change in communities by providing resources and training to women, improving livelihoods, and fostering sustainable agricultural practices.
Real-world examples.
Exactly. Their work helps to professionalize, measure, and ultimately scale impact investing, demonstrating that you don't necessarily have to choose between doing good and doing well financially.
Okay. If we connect this to the bigger picture, what's the takeaway here?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it shows that even amidst all the global economic volatility we discussed, the uncertainties of policy shifts and the wild swings of digital markets, there's a significant and growing force that is actively trying to align finance with tangible, positive change.
A countercurrent, perhaps?
You could see it that way. Impact investing offers a compelling alternative perspective on how value can be measured and created, not just in dollars and cents, but in social progress, environmental health, and community well-being. It's a testament to the idea that capital, when consciously directed, can be a powerful force for a better world, offering a different narrative to the sometimes purely profit-driven aspects of global finance we've explored today.
A hopeful note to consider.
Definitely. Hashtag outro.
Wow, what a truly expansive and interconnected journey we've taken through our sources today. We really covered a lot of ground.
We certainly did, from data to policy to crypto to impact.
We began by exploring the foundational yet vulnerable role of data. Remember, the alarming personnel reductions in public health agencies threatening our collective safety.
The blind spots.
To the extensive data collection of the Federal Reserve and the World Bank shaping our economic understanding, all the way to those revolutionary new data streams from on-chain crypto analytics redefining financial transparency.
A whole spectrum of data issues.
Then we delved into the intricate dance of global policy shifts, examining the profound international repercussions of U.S. public health decisions, the ongoing trade wars reshaping global economies, and the ripple effects of Federal Reserve monetary policy on diverse markets, from gold to Bitcoin.
The interconnectedness really came through there.
And finally, we navigated the exhilarating, sometimes risky, realm of digital assets, from the daily volatility of Bitcoin and Ethereum to the promise and potential pitfalls of tokenized assets and the constant tension of global regulation.
The Wild West indeed.
Culminating in the purpose-driven world of impact investing, showing how capital can be a force for good.
There's always more to learn, of course. But by bringing these diverse, often seemingly disconnected pieces together, our aim is that you, the listener, now possess a richer, far more nuanced understanding of the complex challenges and opportunities shaping our present and our future.
Hopefully connecting some dots.
Exactly. This interconnected view encourages us all to engage in critical thinking, not just about the information itself, but about the very sources of information we rely on. Who is collecting it? How reliable is it? And what biases, intentional or unintentional, might be shaping our perception?
Crucial questions. So here's a final thought to leave you with. In an era where information can be both incredibly empowering and overwhelmingly abundant, and where trust in institutions is, frankly, often questioned.
A challenging environment.
It is. How might your deeper understanding of these interconnected global forces, from the struggles of a local health department grappling with declining vaccination rates to the revolutionary potential and ever-present regulatory challenges of decentralized finance, how might that empower you to make more informed decisions?
Decisions for yourself, your community.
Exactly. Whether it's for yourself, your family, your community, or your investments, how can you actively contribute to fostering clearer insights, demanding greater transparency and safeguarding the essential flow of knowledge in our rapidly changing world.
Something to really chew on.
That's a thought to take with you long after this deep dive ends.